Welcome to the Cinematic Void Podcast. Cinematic Void is a cult film series that hosts screenings in the Los Angeles area as well as virtually. I'm your host, Jim Branscombe, and joining me as always is...
Hey, it's Nick Vance, Paranoid Futures on Instagram and Letterboxd. You can find Cinematic Void on the World Wide Web at cinematicvoid.com, as well as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and all major podcast platforms. If you want to support the Void, you can consider joining our Patreon. So what's up, Jim? What's going on, man?
Not much. It's, just getting through the weekend. We've been sticking to our recording schedule, kind of.
We're 2 days late, but it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than what it's been.
True.
Know? I mean, you were busy on Friday, so it was just a little tricky, and plus we were working on finishing up the episode that's just dropped, the one before this. So, I think we're staying on schedule, and that's what's important. It's been nice, and it means that these intro segments won't be as fucking long, theoretically. I say this now, and then 2 hours later, when you're just like, when are you going to talk about movies? We might never talk about movies. But speaking of not talking about movies, you and I went to a show last night.
Yes, we did. We saw the Rough Kids at Monty's for their record release show, which I sang on the record. I'll mention that. I did backup vocals on their last 2 LPs, and I think they came out really sweet. So it's on Dirt Cult Records, and yeah, dropped. I guess it's been out a few weeks, but the LP release show was last night.
Nice. And if you got, what would you call it, like kind of 70s inspired punk?
Yeah.
They're incredible live. It's just, we were talking about a little bit like on our Uber ride home when we were not trying to talk to the Uber driver that was driving us back, who, the worst thing you can ever see in your Uber app is like, this Uber driver is known for good conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they all strive for that, huh? It sucks.
If it's like, this Uber driver will just acknowledge your existence and not say a fucking word to you. That's
right.
That's what I prefer. But either way, we were talking. Basically, there's like certain bands that operate on a higher level, and like Rough Kids, just like they're just all in sync. They're like, it's like on any level, it's great to see a band just like at their peak.
Yeah.
And just absolutely fucking crushing a room. It was fucking amazing. So if you like that kind of music, definitely check it out. Besides that, I've been kind of taking it easy, working on stuff. Been going through mayhem as it were.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do a little back padding here, just because sold out 4 of the 5 Mondays in May. The only one that didn't sell out was The Mechanic, which we kind of talked about that on that episode. We were like talking about the lineup. It was like, yeah, I don't think that one's going to sell out, but it did respectable. But everything else sold out. I was really pleased. Like we, a couple weeks ago did Detroit Rock City, which that was great screening, great Q&A with Adam Rifkin, Lynn Shay, and Tim Sullivan. A lot of fun. Crowd loved it. Following week, which is this past Monday, showed Full Contact, the Ringo Lam movie, which I've been singing the praises of for a while, and I was like, that's my favorite thing I'm showing this month. And it sold out the day of the show. And, despite the fact that it was an English dub, which is just okay, and despite the fact that the title card said Hard Boiled 2.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. That's rad.
Yeah, I didn't know. I think it was Jared, or
yeah.
Was it Jared or Sam? I can't remember who was.
Jared told me about it, so I think it was Jared.
Yeah, it was Jared. He was like, hey, man, just so you know, the title card says Hard Boiled 2. And I was like, that's interesting. But the movie was produced by Golden Princess in Hong Kong, who also made Hard Boiled. And I'm guessing this print probably existed to play in the UK, because this was made when Great Britain had control. Like, actually, Hong Kong was under British rule for like a certain period of time until China got it back. And they probably struck a print, English dub print to play in, England. And they probably just did the old exploitation trick of like retitling the movie to cash in on something that was already successful. So Hard Boiled was, big fucking hit everywhere. And this movie starred 2 actors from Hard Boiled. So I guess that's why it's Hard Boiled 2. I've never heard of this movie being called Hard Boiled 2 at any point, though.
That's awesome.
But the movie played incredibly well, and like, there was like lots of cheering, especially at the end. I'm not gonna say what the ending is because I don't want to spoil it, but like, it was great to watch that with a crowd. Like, really, really fucking sick. And I guess what we're doing in this episode, we've been, kind of peppering in talking about how May's been doing. We're gonna talk about what's coming up in June. Got a couple things. We're gonna be participating in Bleak Week again at the American Cinematheque. It's Bleak Week Year 2, and decided not to do Camp Void this year. I thought about it, and it's like, I had a lineup of like kind of summer camp type stuff, and I wasn't really feeling it. And then I got an offer to do something, so I was like, okay, maybe I can do Camp Void Italian style. And then one of the movies had to drop out, and I was like, well, it's not really. I couldn't find enough connective tissue to like even justify putting Camp Void on there. So
Yeah.
what I decided to do for June and July is what I'm calling Summertime Slaughter. So we're going to talk about part 1, which is the June portion of this lineup on this episode of the podcast. And, why don't we just kind of take a break and then let's talk lineup here on the Cinematic Void podcast.
You paid $85 for those sunglasses? Throw them away. They could actually be damaging your eyes. Introducing Amber Vision, the most amazing breakthrough in vision technology since glasses were invented. These super glasses actually improve vision. Indoors, outdoors, day or night, we guarantee it.
Everything is so much crisper and clearer. I just can't believe it.
The secret? Amber Vision blocks the blurring blue rays, the same rays that cause haze and fog. Only rays that focus clearly can penetrate.
This is different. I like these.
Amber Vision blocks harmful ultraviolet rays, the primary cause of eye disease, including cataracts and retinitis. Look, ordinary sunglasses cause pupils to open wider, allowing even higher levels of ultraviolet light into your eyes. But Amber Vision blocks 100% of the ultraviolet light with UV 400, the best protection for your eyes. The lenses are constructed of durable CR39. The high-fashion frames adjust for a perfect fit. Your eyes need protection all year round. Wear them at the beach or for boating, golfing, skiing. Keep an extra pair in your car. This high-tech catalog is offering similar glasses for $59.95. But now you can order Amber Vision for just $10 on this special offer.
I can't believe my own eyes. They're amazing.
Seeing is believing. We urge you to try Amber Vision for 30 days. If you don't agree these are the best glasses you've ever owned, just return them for a full money-back refund, no questions asked. So throw away those expensive goggles. It's not worth damaging your eyes. Invest in Amber Vision and see for yourself.
Amber Vision is also available in clip-on. To order by credit card, call toll-free 1-800-556-8800. That's 1-800-556-8800. Or send just $10 plus $2.50 shipping and handling to Amber Vision, Box 500-U, Verona, New Jersey, 07044. That's Amber Vision, Box 500-U, Verona, New Jersey, 07044. Please specify glasses or clip-ons.
Welcome back. We are talking about the June lineup here on the Cinematic Void podcast, and what I mean by that is all the movies we'll be showing at the Los Feliz 3 coming up for, you guessed it, the month of June. Up first, before we get into the actual monthly theme, we have a little pit stop, little break, or however you want to say it. We're participating in the American Cinematheque's Bleak Week again, and for this year's pick, I'd say it's Bleak. Would you agree?
Of course.
It's pretty miserable.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd say we've talked about movies that smash your moral compass, and this one will fucking obliterate it. And we are talking about 1986 in a Glass Cage. Now, when we were booking the film, like the distributor AGFA that handles through Cult Epics, like they're the theatrical booker for Cult Epics. They didn't have any real blurbs for this movie. It was all like pull quotes from reviews, like one of the most harrowing, art horror films ever, like that kind of shit.
Sure.
There was no plot description.
Yeah.
So I had to write one.
Nice.
And I also had to write it for the bigger Bleak Week pamphlet that will be coming out, like they did last year, where like a bunch of people wrote stuff. So I had to write on, I don't say in depth, but like 150, 170 words on this movie.
Cool.
So for those of you who are uninitiated what this movie's about, it's a fucking doozy. Basically, a former Nazi child killer is confined in an iron lung inside of an old mansion after he tries to kill himself when he gets found out. Yeah, so Nazi child killing pedophile in an iron lung. Already the premise of a movie that, like, could you see someone pitching that to a Hollywood executive? Hear me out. It's a Nazi child killer. He tried to kill himself. Now he's in an iron lung. You think anyone greenlights that?
They should. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's great.
So, but that's not just all. If that was a movie about a Nazi and an iron lung, it would be pretty, soul crushing in a lot of ways. Here's the other part of this movie. So his wife hires a full-time caregiver who's this mysterious young man who, as they, he's kind of working there, kind of find out he's a kind of a shit caregiver. And what it turns out to be is that he's one of the former victims of this Nazi pedophile who's now an iron lung, who, in a weird flip of like Stockholm syndrome, decides he wants to become the new torturer. He wants to become a child killer because all his trauma has fucked him up, and he wants to learn from this fucking like horrible piece of shit that's in the iron lung.
Yeah.
That is the movie. This is, I think the way I described it in my like notes is that there's a thin line between art house and exploitation sometimes. And this movie just kind of smears it all around, and it's just a fucking blur. It's not a fun movie.
No.
And I know there's a lot of Bleak movies because it's Bleak Week. I think this is actually the bleakest of the bleak.
I can't. I honestly, I haven't committed the whole list to memory yet. But it's a great list. It's a ton of great.
I mean,
stuff coming up,
there's a ton of fucking like just
Mm-hmm.
take your soul and fucking punch it in the balls type of movies in this.
Hell yeah.
But this one is just like it'll definitely take something from you.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm looking forward to and nervous about rewatching it because I've never seen it in a theater.
Yeah. Right on.
I saw it on bootleg VHS back in the day. I think I had the old DVD of it. I never got it on Blu-ray. It's just one of those things where it's just like I could upgrade, but
I think I probably watched it 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and I remember enjoying it tremendously.
yeah,
it's definitely my kind of film.
oh, it definitely is. It's the kind of movie that I always kind of joke, but there's certain movies that I've watched that I feel like will actually take years off my life.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
This is kind of
there's the ones that I purchase, and that's when you tell me. Yeah.
yeah. There's that the other one that comes to mind, like this one, and it's not even tonally the same as fucking Happiness.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Not at all.
There's just something about Happiness where just like when you go through it because of how manipulative and like at times evil the movie is in certain contexts.
Yeah.
Same with this one. There's no one you can really root for.
Yeah.
It invokes sympathy in the torturer and torturee, and then when it flips, it's just like there's just, again, your moral compass is fucking to dust by the end of this.
Yeah.
It's a journey. So that's the Cinematic Void pick for Bleak Week, and selling well.
Cool.
I'm gonna be curious to see how people walk out of that movie when the credits roll.
Oh yeah. Where's that print coming from?
It is coming from AGFA.
Oh right, you said that already.
But I think it
But they are sending a print, huh?
They're sending a print. I think they're finally getting they had a hold on sending out their theatrical prints they have. So
I guess they did. I kind of forgot about that because it's been so long
Yeah.
since we got something from them that way.
Yeah, so
we just get a lot of DCPs from AGFA.
yeah, they've been kind of restructuring and retraining people like the do print handling and
Oh
stuff
right,
like.
totally.
So I don't know if they're that's changed now or it's just the special circumstances that we got this print because of Bleak Week.
Mm-hmm.
Now I do want to mention there was another film I wanted to show for Bleak Week and it was gonna happen, and unfortunately the film print that we had was missing a reel. And that was another Hong Kong movie starring Simon Yam,
Okay.
who was also, in Full Contact, as Run and Kill, directed by Billy Tang, who also did Dr. Lamb and Red to Kill. And I sent it. I gave a copy to Chris Lemaire, who's one of the Cinetech programmers and kind of like the architect of Bleak Week. And I was like, "Here, check this out." And he's like, "Yeah, we should play this." And it was all set, and then print missing a reel. And there's a restoration that's coming out for that movie, but it wasn't going to be ready in time. So it's like. Yeah, but I think I might still do that at some point. Maybe next year for Bleak Week. So that is going to be on Monday, June 5th. Skipping a week and going to June 12th. We're going to be showing something a little more upbeat, I think. It is a movie that's actually distributed by Troma, but for this circumstance, we are working with their friends at Severn Films who are doing a 4K restoration of this movie. And not only that, they are presenting the film for the first time fully uncut since 1982. There's some added gore footage that has not been seen since 1982.
Oh, wow.
And, this is the third time A lot of people don't realize that. People forget about Star Crash, but this is the third time that Joe Spinell and Carolyn Monroe, who were in obviously Maniac together, which was the second time, this is their third team up, and it's a movie called The Last Horror Film, aka The Fanatic.
The Cannes Film Festival, where the rich and famous go to have a good time. The Last Horror Film. Unfortunately for Jenna, an obsessed fanatic is also there to have a good time. The Last Horror Film. What began as an international film premiere ended in a nightmare. The Last Horror Film. It may be the last horror film you ever see.
Now, not to be confused with The Fanatic starring John Travolta and directed by Fred Durst, but, you know, definitely share some stuff. So, this movie is about a New York taxi driver, obviously Spinell, stalking a beautiful actress who is Moreau, while she's attending the Cannes Film Festival, which is actually happening now as we're recording. And what happens is he's trying to get her to be in his movie, and then when she kind of rejects and sidesteps, all the people that are around her at this festival start disappearing. Is he killing them? Who knows? You have to see the movie. This was actually shot at the Cannes Film Festival in like 81 or 82, whatever they actually shot it. But it was shot without permits. They were just running around shooting shit.
Oh, wild.
Yeah, so that's a little crazy little kink to this. It's directed by David Winters.
Who did Thrashin', of all things.
Yeah, he did Thrashin'. He has a weird fucking filmography. He's one of the stars of West Side Story. And he also directed, like, you know, Thrashin', but he also did Space Mutiny, which is one of the most infamous, like, Mystery Science Theater movies. It's where they just, like, one of the lead characters, like a beefy guy, and they're like, Chust Rockwell, and, like, just come over, like, a bunch of fucking things talking about this guy. And he did another movie, which I've seen, which is just absurd. It's called Dancing. It's On. Like, one of those, like, kind of dance movies, but it's, like, I think it's shot in Florida. It's just... I saw it on Riff Track, so it's you already guess where the quality is. But this one's actually a pretty good movie. Spinell can't give a bad role. Yeah. He's great in everything. Maniac, Cruising, even his little bit parts in The Godfather, Taxi Driver, like one of the greatest character actors that ever lived. And, you know, you give him I think this was the last time he had a starring role. Outside the Maniac 2 that Buddy Giovanzo did a little short, like, to try to get money for, but, like, that wasn't public to see. But this was, like, the last feature film, like, he would, like, star vehicle for him. Cool. And again, 4K restoration, fully uncut, hadn't been seen since 1982, and, you know, always a pleasure to be partnered up with Severn Films. Speaking of which, for the next week, which is June 19th, we will be partnering up with Severn Films again for another feel-good movie, I would say. Have you seen this one?
House on the Edge of the Park?
Yes.
I have not.
Well, if you thought Cannibal Holocaust was a fucking soul-crushing kind of like, you know, punch in the balls.
I didn't. I just thought it was a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah.
I didn't really, honestly, nah, not very soul-crushing. I thought it was just like, yeah, I expected it to just be a rough piece of shit, I think. I don't know why that was my expectation, so I was just kind of blown away at how nicely done it was.
Well, no.
Believe it or not, I don't know, anyway.
But yeah.
Is that a crazy opinion?
No, it's not, actually.
It's not soul-crushing. It's actually just really well made.
Well, that's the bigger point I'm getting at. So
okay.
It's directed by Ruggero Deodato, who, you know, obviously did Cannibal Holocaust.
Hell yeah.
As we're talking about. And it stars David Hess. Yes, that David Hess who wrote songs for Elvis, but probably is best known for being the star of Last House on the Left.
Oh, wow.
Also has Giovanni Lombardo Radice, a.k.a. John Morgan, who we're doing a mini tribute in June, July for. He just passed away. He's probably best known as the guy who gets the industrial power drill in his head in Lucio Fulci's Gates of Hell.
Nice.
One of, you know, kind of great mainstays of Italian exploitation cinema. Also has Christian Bromomeo, who we talked about because we did in our episode about Tenebrae. He's the guy in the car that gets fucking strangled out.
Oh, cool.
And Annie Bell's in it, who is in Absurd and Black Emmanuel, White Emmanuel, as well as Lips of Blood, which is a John Rowland nudie vampire art house thing.
Cool.
As John Rowland does. Brigitte Petrino, who is in A Manual Around the World, and The Cynic, The Rat, and The Fist, which is a really great Eurocrime movie directed by Umberto Lenzi. So, for those of you who have not seen House on the Edge of the Park, two low-life punks invite themselves to a party at a posh villa, and after being taunted by their snobbish host, hold everyone hostage and subject them to various forms of torture and mayhem. Now, when we're talking about Cannibal Holocaust and its notoriety, like, when Deodato made Cannibal Holocaust, he knew there was going to be some flack and some trouble coming from it. Mm-hmm. So he took a job, like, right away because he was afraid he wasn't going to work.
Okay.
Once Cannibal Holocaust came out. And in a lot of ways, Cannibal Holocaust, like, obviously the animal cruelty is the divider on that movie.
Yeah.
But I will stand by that. It is it's a well-made movie. It's well-directed.
Yeah.
It's just it's a masterpiece.
See, I thought it was. I was under the impression that it was just a vehicle for those violent acts.
No.
It's not at all.
No.
It's a film.
It's a film. It's because the reason why the animal stuff in Cannibal Holocaust kind of gets elevated because it's really cruel.
Yeah.
And it didn't have to be there. Like
sure.
And obviously he was doing it to make a social commentary, but there's times where your social commentary defeats the purpose of your social commentary, which is definitely what happens with that stuff.
Not according to me.
Of course not. You're a fucking heartless bastard. But like, but the thing is, in a way, Deodato did not take like a soft, like he could have done anything to follow up Cannibal Holocaust and like maybe like done something that wasn't as brutal. Yeah. In many ways, minus the animal cruelty, this movie is fucking meaner, more brutal, and nastier than Cannibal Holocaust.
Okay.
It is fucking just... It is a nasty movie. It has it's like Cannibal Holocaust. There's a social commentary on classism, rich versus poor, that kind of thing, which also gets undermined by. It's just a fucking. It's nasty. It's definitely, if you've seen Last House on the Left, you kind of get an idea of what's going to be happening in this movie.
Okay.
It is like it is not. I mean, it's sleazy fun, but no, it's also harrowing at the same time. Yeah. And like David Hess just fucking, the man is just on 100. Yeah. He is a fucking sleazoid tour de force. Like there's no other way to put it. And John Morgan gives like a pretty, kind of weird, understated, but like kind of like sweet, like performance in it. Which really counterbalances just how fucking like hard Hess goes in this movie. I had the Cinematech just put like a trigger warning on the thing. Mostly cover my ass because like I don't want someone like, oh, this is a fun like exploitation movie. It's like no. It opens with a pretty lengthy and like very dehumanizing rape. So and that just sets the tone for the rest of the movie. It is just, there's social commentary. It is saying something, but kind of like Cannibal Holocaust is like the message is muddled.
Yeah.
But I do think it's like for like pure, just nasty, like in that kind of vein of like Last House and like all the kind of knockoffs and like, retreads that came out. This is the only one that probably gets to that level and probably goes past it. It is, it could easily have been part of Bleak Week in a way.
Okay. And
it does have, like, I guess kind of a heroic resolution in the end, but not really. It's just, I don't know. I feel like I'm not selling it for people to see, but, like, if you know what it is and you want to be pushed by, like, this is a hardcore exploitation movie. This is, like, the definitely dark side of it. This is where the sleaze is pushed to, like, 1,000,000. Mm-hmm. If you can watch those kind of movies, it is top tier. Because again, like Cannibal Holocaust, it's expertly directed. There's a great soundtrack by Rizwar Alani, who also did Cannibal Holocaust. Although it's kind of a disco soundtrack, which is kind of weird for like, what year did this come out? 80? So, a little late for disco, but it's a catchy soundtrack for a really sleazy and brutal movie. Cool. Now, closing out the month of June, it's sleazy too, but not to the extent that this, House on the Edge of Park is. It also stars John Morgan, a.k.a. Giovanni Lombardo Radice, but it also has, genre mainstay favorite John Saxon's in it. And guess what? He's not playing a cop. So, of course, we're talking about 1980s Cannibal Apocalypse.
My God, son, put it down. Cannibalism.
The Vietnam vet, barricaded in the flea market, taking pot shots at the cops outside.
Okay, that's enough.
Wait a minute. Please. Please, try to understand. Listen to me. While she was here, I had this urge to bite her. To bite her, you understand? Like Bukowski. Stay away.
This film was directed by Antonio Margheriti, who, gets a shout out in Glorious Bastards, obviously. He's one of the fake names they give out. Like, long mainstay, Italian genre filmmaker. This was the first movie of his I've seen. I got a copy of this off of Bruce Holochek back in the day because he had a VHS bootleg that I duped. And basically, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's a mentally unstable Vietnam vet who's been, or not just vet, multiple vets who were held captive by the Viet Cong. So you also have the Vietnam angle coming in there. Come back to America, but it turns out they have some kind of cannibal virus. So when they bite people, they turn them to cannibals. So kind of like that Contagion kind of movie, but like not on a level like something like Nightmare City where like they all have shit on their face and they're running around being crazy. But it's just like they can weave in and out of the human population undetected until they decide to like bite someone.
Right on.
The movie was co-written by Dardano Scaglietti, who's best known for, co-writing a ton of the Fulci movies. He also wrote Demons 1 and 2 and, great genre pedigree, or Italian genre pedigree, I should say. We're going to be showing like a 35mm print, which is under the title Invasion of the Flesh Hunters. Movie's also known as Cannibal in the Streets, and a note for just us, our old band Inspite actually did a song about this movie, or at least the title of the movie, or the Cannibal in the Streets title.
I just think of Jason Color because there's vocals that switch off between different members of the band, and I'll always just have the Jason Color version of Cannibals in the Streets in my head.
Yeah, because like I think it's me, then you, then me again, and he closes it out.
Mm-hmm.
All of us just saying Cannibal in the Streets. It was fun times.
He should have sang for a band. Jason Color, you should have sang for a band.
Yeah, he had a really good hardcore voice. So, but it's a fun genre romp. I would say like it's sleazy, it's mean at times, but it's a fun movie. Which 2 out of the 4 movies in June are fun. Other 2 are gonna make you question who you are as a person.
Yeah.
But that's Cinematic Void. We can do it both ways. We can have a rousing, good, like, time-watching exploitation movie, or we can make you feel like shit when you go home and then have to take a long, hot shower where you're just scrubbing your skin off with your dial. So that's how we do it. So that's the lineup for June. Hit us up on social media. Tell us what you think about it. Tell us that I did see when we announced In a Glass Cage, someone posted on there about like one of the people in the movie. I think the main actor is like, oh, he's super hot in this movie. And it's just like, man, please don't come to the screening.
Hell yeah, respect.
Yeah. I knew you would say that. Yeah, I'm going to be curious about In a Glass Cage crowd. I know who I'm getting for like House on the Edge of the Park. There's going to be the people that come out anytime I do anything remotely sleazy or like any of the Severance stuff. That's going to be the audience for it. In a Glass Cage, I don't know who the fuck's coming out for it.
Yeah, I'm coming out horny for all 4.
Just raging. But we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, it'll be Read, Watch, and Listen here on the Cinematic Void Podcast.
Who's that? The life of the party, that's who.
There's a super party animal. His name is Buds McKenzie. When the sun shines bright on a cold Bud Light, he's in a party frenzy.
He's Spuds McKenzie, the posh pooch of pop culture.
Go, Spuds, go.
Spuds, you're an animal.
Go, go, Spuds, go, go.
Welcome back. It's now time for on the Cinematic Void Podcast, where we talk about all the things we've been reading, watching, and or listening to since the last time we recorded a podcast. So, Nick, why don't you tell us what you've been reading, watching, and or listening to?
And or let's see. Watch. I haven't had a lot of. It's been a busy ass week, man. What have I watched? Oh yeah, I just saw Xavier Dolan's first film, I Killed My Mother. The Cinematheque screened it on Mother's Day. They did a bunch of Serial Mom. They did a bunch of shit.
And The Mummy.
The Mummy. Oh, I didn't even realize that was on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
No.
If you know Grant, that's a pun.
Yeah, that's God. I just thought that was like part of like the Avengers or something.
No, it is Mother's Day.
Mummy, God damn it. But yeah, I just saw I Killed My Mother by Xavier Dolan, and he made it when he was 20, and he's the fucking star of the film. And it's fucking so goddamn good, dude. And I've probably talked before about his film called Mommy, which I absolutely fucking love. But so this guy clearly has some fucking mommy issues. Yeah, so I Killed My Mother. I mean, holy fuck, man. This movie, I mean, this movie fucked me up, dude. This movie did like made me think about shit, like even my own relationship with my mom, you know. It just like made me think of shit that I just haven't even thought. Like, man, it fucked me up. This is a great. This guy's great, dude. Xavier Dolan is a master. So highly recommended. No matter what your relationship with your mother is like, you know, mine's overall pretty good, but man, it really reminded me of some dumb shit I've done in my life, some bad, you know what I mean? I was kind of a bad kid sometimes. Like the stress that I put my mom through, you know, I've kind of forgotten as our relationship got better as I got older, you know. I just like, it reminds me, both of those films remind me of like, man, sorry mom. You know, hang tight one second. For listen, there's a new fucking No Pressure song out. There's a new Outer Heaven song out. There's a new Blur song that just came out. There's a new Koyo song that just came out. There's a ton of shit that just dropped that's sick. New EP by Lockstep called Arrival. I don't even know where they're from, but I think it's something you dig. It's kind of like that kind of like heavy, like hum or something, but like slower, like Codeine.
Does it have the cover of like someone like kind of biting someone's lip or something like that?
They do have, that is the cover of one of their records, but that's not the new thing.
Oh, they have something else
the
new
new
out.
thing that came out yesterday.
Oh, okay,
came out Friday.
Oh shit, I hadn't seen that yet. I've been listening to that other record,
cool,
that EP.
Yeah,
I thought that's good. So yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out.
They're sick. And Cam, that just did the cover art for my new record that's coming out, did the Lockstep cover art.
Nice.
And did all their shirts and shit, and it looks amazing. So yeah, I've been listening to a ton of new shit. Ton of great new songs have come out this week. So fuck yeah, that's it for me, man. How about you?
Well, read. I ain't been reading shit. Eventually there'll be an episode where I've read something.
There you go.
But you know, it's just, you know, something to work towards. Some you know, something to actually pick up one of the many books that I have on my bookshelf and say, you know what, I am going to read. God damn it. But not this week. Watch, again, bunch of virtual date nights with my girlfriend. We watched Poison for the Fairies, which is a Mexican horror movie. It's on Shudder. I think Vinegar Syndrome also put it out in some Mexican gothic horror like kind of box set. It's actually from the mid 80s. It's about like two little girls, one who wants to be a witch, and like it's kind of a cool little like flip on witchcraft stuff. And then it has like this ultimate like hard fucking left turn of an ending that just like love it.
Right on.
That was cool. We also watched on Shudder and Soon the Darkness. It was directed by Robert Fust, who also directed Abominable Dr. Fives and Devil's Reign stuff. I think it was like one of his earlier movies. It's about two girls from England who are like bike riding across France, and then one of them like decides to like, oh, I want to take a break, and just hangs out like this kind of near a wooded area off the road and disappears. So it becomes like a little bit like The Vanishing in a way, but then it's just like also kind of like, is everyone in the town in on this stuff? Because then you find out as you're watching the movie that there had been a murder of a similar looking like kind of blonde young girl and stuff. It's like really well done.
Sounds incredible.
So yeah, definitely worth checking out. Like,
right on.
Been doing pretty good. Also, her and I have been, kicking through the Peter Strickland filmography. Saw the his new one, I guess, last time we did an episode, but basically went back and watched Barbarian Sound Studio and the Duke of Burgundy.
Cool.
I don't know if you've seen any of those.
No, they've been on the list.
Peter Strickland's an interesting filmmaker. Like, I think visually, he's one of the few filmmakers now that makes his movies look fucking great. Cool. And does really cool creative stuff with it. Like, Barbarian Sound Studio, I saw like years ago originally when it was like on Netflix, because I think IFC Midnights or whatever put it out, and it's like, it's got, it's about a guy that like gets flown to Italy who's a sound designer to work on some Italian horror film, and then like it just gets weird. He's like starting to become into the movie, because you don't actually really see anything of the movie being made. You just see him like working on the sounds and stuff like that. And it's really well done, really haunting, really, I don't know, it's just an incredible fucking movie. Like, it was one of my favorites when I saw it, and like revisiting it, it's like, it's fucking still good. Duke of Burgundy is about two women that kind of live together and have like a kinky kind of relationship of like, sadomasochism and stuff like that, and like kind of push the limits where like one wants more and more to be it's weird, the dominant one wants to be dominated.
Yeah.
And like, it's really good. And if you're wondering what the title Duke of Burgundy has to do with, it's actually a butterfly, because there's tons of butterfly stuff in that movie too.
Okay.
It's definitely, I don't want to say erotic. It's not really erotic thriller. It's definitely like erotic, but it's not like graphic in any way of the sense. It's very artsy.
Okay.
In a really good way. We're going to eventually get to In Fabric, which was, I think, the movie he did with A24 or whatever. And I think the only streaming platform it's on is like Showtime, because that's where I think A24 has their deal right now.
Okay.
Don't have Showtime, but I don't know, but I would like to revisit In Fabric. But like, I actually posted on Instagram the other day. It's like, hey, been kind of on this Peter Strickland kick. Would anyone want to, if I did like a little mini tribute series? And people were like, yes, please. So
yeah,
maybe coming to a void screen near you.
Cool.
Some Peter Strickland movies. I actually would like to do that, because like, I don't really do months of just a filmmaker. I did Jonathan Kaplan like last year, and I think I think I would do it again, just because it's just like, it's a kind of a newer filmmaker, but it's a newer filmmaker I really love.
Hell yeah.
So maybe that. Also, on my own, because I didn't think Leslie would want to watch it, I watched Air, which is the story of like, guys working at Nike making the Air Jordan shoe. Ben Affleck directed it, also stars in it. There's Matt Damon, of course, and Chris Tucker. There's has Viola Davis. She plays Michael Jordan's mom. Jason Bateman's in it. It's a fucking stacked cast. It's like, it reminded me of like a Newsroom type of movie, like, All the President's Men or Zodiac, except it's just about like dudes trying to like, how we can get Michael Jordan to fucking like come to Nike, because like, it does make a multinational corporation as an underdog, but like, I guess in the 80s, Nike was just kind of looked at as just a running shoe. And Converse was like the big like basketball shoe at the time. Yeah. Which like, you don't think about that now, just, how it's
break your damn ankle in those Converse.
Yeah, couldn't imagine balling in fucking Converse, but it's really interesting, because it's like Nike basically had to like, they did things that like they never did with another like, sports player that they were working with. They like gave Jordan a percentage of the shoe sales, and that's how they got him, and it worked. They all became billionaires essentially. It's despite it being a sports movie and a movie about shoes, and like, it's really well done. I think Ben Affleck is I don't want to say he's underrated as a director, because he's generally good.
Yeah.
But like, for what it is, it's like, it was an entertaining, enjoyable movie. And like, there's barely anything that hits like streaming, like that I go out of my way. It's like, oh, this is going to be sick. It's like, this was just like, wow, solid. Cool. And I think it came out it's on Amazon Prime, but I think they actually had a theatrical run, and it did pretty well. Yeah. Because I think Amazon's like, you know what? We should do a theatrical run on this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was at LF3 at Vintage Cinema for a week or two.
Yeah, so I don't know. I enjoyed it. So
I know like a BlackBerry movie just came out. Like there's a couple of those types of like a whole film about a brand or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of a strange new thing that's happening in film.
Well, you know, I know there's been other ones that came out like it's just like, you know, there was an Uber movie and shit.
Was there an Uber movie?
There was an Uber movie.
Yeah.
But this one I actually cared about because, like, you know, growing up in the 80s and 90s when like Air Jordans were like, that was the shit.
Yeah.
It's like it's something that, like, you know, I mean, weird way there's like an innocence to it. And again, it's just not, you know, obviously who gives a fuck about $1 billion shoe company? But, like, you know, there was people that had to bust their ass to, like, you know, for their livelihood. Like, they're like, if this doesn't work out, they lose their job. So, like, there's a humanist angle to it. But, you know, again, it worked pretty good for, like, basically a movie that was about, like, a company that was already making millions of dollars starting to make billions of dollars.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it.
I think Converse are owned by Nike now anyway.
Damn.
Go.
Full circle. And the last thing I watched, I actually watched it yesterday. I got my package from Cauldron and their new little sub-label called Neon Eagle. It's a Taiwanese rape revenge movie called Kill Butterfly Kill. And, you know, I enjoyed it. There's some psychedelic imagery in it. Like, the rape part of the rape revenge is, you know, front loaded, and then it's like the girl, like, basically meets up with a hitman. They work together to fucking take out all these rapists. And, like, I think, you know, sometimes for rape revenge, they don't work because it doesn't hit a satisfactory conclusion. But, like, this one does a really good job. Plus, like, the weird psychedelic stuff in it. It's really entertaining. And I'll be, you know, kind of excited to see more come from Neon Eagle and, of course, Cauldron in general. As for listen, you mentioned most of the things I've listened to. That Koyo single, that Outer Heaven single, or it's not single, it's just a song that's on the forthcoming new album. That fucker's 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
That's like, I loved Outer Heaven because most of their songs were like 2.5 minutes. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good for a death metal song. It's like, what is this shit? Fucking 6 minutes?
They're good at what they do though. Their particular style of death metal like it really appeals to me. It's like it's perfectly technical, but like also just like kind of grimy. Like they're the whole package, man. I think that they're one of the sickest newer death metal bands out
but
today.
I'm not knocking the song.
I know for sure. I'm just throwing that out there. That like, man, goddamn, I love Outer Heaven. I think they can kind of do no wrong. You're right though. I prefer a short song.
I put the song on. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of feel like it's two songs as one. So
I mean, I think it's even, you know, it's even like, I think that
there's a slash.
Yeah, there's like a backslash in the song title. I think it's literally, it's a medley or something.
Yeah. It's like called Rotting Stone / DMT. And there's definitely some kind of break where you can see one from the other. So maybe two songs for one, just on the same track. So, but yeah, I agree with you about Outer Heaven, where, like, you know, there's a lot of death metal that either alone, they're just like, there's definitely the ones that kind of lean too heavy into like the sludge aspect, because there's a lot of sludge bands that became death metal. There's a lot of hardcore bands became death metal. Where I love about Outer Heaven is just death metal.
Yeah. It's very authentic. There's not a hardcore leaning to it, like a lot of newer stuff.
Like it's technical, but not to the point where it's like unlistenable technical. Like, it's not wanky. Yeah. Like, there's solos and there might be some like some of that, but like not to the point where it's just like, I don't want to listen to this shit. Yeah. Like, it's heavy, it's fast, it has slow parts. It's, you know, I'm excited for this new album, you know. Makes me want to release a death metal record.
Damn.
Yeah. Wonder about that.
All right.
I know every time that I even invoke this, it's another year added on here. So
a year.
2050, that Mirrored Crypt record will finally come out. The other thing I've been listening to lately, I should say after we saw Rough Kids, I started, you know, going through that discography again. And it's just like, shit, you know, it's like, it's a band I love a lot, but it's just like, sometimes you don't think about a band, then you see them live, and then it's just, that's all you want to listen to.
Yeah.
But the other thing, and I've listened to it quite a bit, and it's Bivouac by Jawbreaker.
Oh, nice.
That was the first Jawbreaker record I heard, and I think I actually bought your CD off of you back in high school.
Yeah, it's still not my favorite Jawbreaker for sure. Actually, you know what's not my favorite Jawbreaker is Unfun. I've never understood how some people really champion Unfun, and
is that the one with a cat on the cover?
Yeah.
I like the cat on the cover.
No tracks.
Yeah,
not a single track.
No.
Actually, I think that Bivouac is now. I think it's pretty good. I think I like it now. But I still don't love it like I love Dear You or 24 Hour Revenge Therapy.
It's their kind of noise rock record in a way.
It's like it's kind of it's
like the catchy hit, like the Jawbreaker can do really poppy catchy songs.
Mm-hmm.
It does. That record isn't that. There's Chesterfield King, which I think is one of the best Jawbreaker songs ever written. But like, there's something about like.
It's more like angular and dark. It's dark how Dear You is, except that Dear You kind of has like hits.
Yeah.
Whereas like this, it's just dark.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but like I'll get like that first. I can't remember the first song is like there was a sun once, like that. Like that will start playing in my head, and then it's like I have to listen to this record.
Yeah.
I'll listen to it all the way through. It has their like tour song and that kind of stuff. It's not a record. I mean, it's better than Unfun by like a long mile. I mean, Chesterfield King is probably the thing, but it's like the songs are longish.
Yeah.
It's definitely angular, noise rocky. Like there's just something about it, and it's just like sometimes when I get in the mood, it's that Jawbreaker record. Any other time, it's like 24 Hour Revenge Therapy and like that kind of stuff.
I saw Jawbreaker 5 or 6 years ago, and his first time seeing him, I think it was that first tour back after they played like Riot Fest or whatever. Like that was their like first show that was like Jawbreaker reunion. It's a huge deal when it happened. But yeah, saw them 5 or 6 years ago, and they were great. But something about it made me go like, I haven't listened to Jawbreaker a single time. I haven't listened to a single song since that show. Have you ever had that happen where you go to see a band that you love and then just not even that it ruined it for you, just for whatever reason, I just don't put it on anymore. It's like that was the kind of that was just like the last thing I needed to see to like close that chapter in my life or something.
Yeah. I have two examples, and they're kind of different. And one was not even seeing the person live, but it was just like having like kind of a perfect listen. That was like that Deltron 3030 record.
Okay.
Like years ago, like the record had been out for maybe, I don't know how long that record had been out.
I like the idea of, and I don't know what you're getting ready to say, but like I like the idea of a perfect listen.
Well,
I like that.
Our mutual friend Jim DeHaven and I, we went on a road trip. We were driving up to Monroeville to go to the Dawn of the Dead Mall. Yep. That was like the first like kind of adult road trip I did that wasn't like, family related. Him and I just drove up there. We stayed at a fucking hotel next to the fucking Monroeville Mall, and that's all we did.
Yeah.
It's fucking dumb. And like we were under 21, so we had Jess Morgan. Shout out to Jess Morgan. He bought us beer, so we take it up there. And then we got to the hotel and realized we didn't have a bottle opener, so we're like on the air conditioner popping fucking tops to like
nice
Corona Light or some shit. And then we thought it'd be fun to had a bottle of rum. It was like, we're gonna drink rum and fucking Dr. Pepper because like we didn't know better.
Yeah,
we weren't good alcoholics or anything like that. But anyway, on our way up there, we put on Deltron 3030, and it was like we had left early. I don't know why we left early, but the sun was coming up, and and it just hit.
Yeah,
it was like everything was in sync. It was just like, damn, this is like a perfect listen. Like the vibe was right. After that, I've never been able to make it through that record all the way through again.
Very cool.
And like, there's times I don't even think about putting on a song.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's very rare, like, I'll put something on.
Yeah.
But it's just, like, after, like, that listen, I was like, yeah, that was just, like, it was perfect. I've never had the desire to listen to that record again.
Right on.
And I don't think it's a bad record or anything like that. It's just, like...
But do you think maybe, like, in a good way, putting that record back on will evoke those feeling, like, a nostalgic feeling for that moment,
But, no, I think that's the other reason, because anytime I try to put it on, it's like, yeah, I'm just not feeling it now. Because, like, I guess when you have, like, a perfect kind of listen, like theoretical thing, like a way a song, like, there's songs that can get intertwined with like people and like, there's like, there's a song like you had a kiss with someone with, and like that, whatever reason, that's what that song is associated with, and if that things fell out, you can't listen to that song and that kind of stuff. It's like, it wasn't like anything happening other than it's like, this is just like, it just felt like this is cool. And then when I put it on, it's like, yeah, the record's still good, but it just didn't feel the same.
Yeah.
It felt like whatever the ultimate high you were going to get from that album, listening to it, like whatever biochemical thing that's within you, just like it couldn't be replicated.
Yeah.
Now, example 2, I did eventually listen to this band again, is when we saw the Misfits in 1996.
Mm-hmm.
Because we saw it with the Michael Graves era, because that's all you could get in 1996.
Right.
There wasn't enough money at Danzig and Jerry Only in the same room back then. And we saw Trocadero in Philadelphia. And after that show, I didn't listen to Misfit for years.
Mm-hmm.
it just like I felt cheated.
Yeah.
And like there were some songs of that Michael Graves era or whatever, but like it just didn't feel, they played pretty much every fucking Misfit song ever written, and then like a couple off that, what was that album called? American.
I won't give them any credit for that. That record is dog shit. I don't even take your dick up her bones and shove it up your ass. That shit sucks. All that shit sucks. Christ the Conqueror sucks. That dude's riffs suck. It sucks.
Actually, you know what this reminds me of, and I know we're getting off topic and going on a tangent here, but it's a valid point about the Misfits. You and I, like a few years ago, we were trying to figure out why the Misfits never worked after that, and it's how they played the songs. It's like, because I think what was we found out, like the way like all those Misfit songs from the beginning to like Earth AD, it was all downstrokes.
It's all downstrokes. It's all Ramones.
And then when they try to make new songs, they try to write them like as
he plays it. Well, you have to go find the unreleased Christ the Conqueror record. That's the the
Jerry Only and Doyle record where they were
it's
like
their metal band from the 80s, and that's what Famous Monsters and American Psycho sounds like, and that's why they fucking suck.
Damn. I mean, yeah,
sure. Catchy. There are catchy songs that exist on those records.
But
I was too. I'm sorry. I was just too old at that point. I couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I never owned that record, and like I know plenty of people had it, and people would swear by that record, and like it's like, yeah, I guess American Psycho, the song is cool or whatever, but it wasn't the Misfits.
Yeah,
it didn't feel like it because they didn't replicate how.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the Misfits. I mean, it's like Morning Noise are cool, but they'll never be the Misfits.
I mean,
AFI, you're not the Misfits.
Sam,
not even, Son of Sam or whatever. It's like,
nah. I mean, not even Danzig was the Misfits.
Yeah, fucking A.
I mean,
you know what though? My not even it's not a crazy opinion. Sam Hain was better than the Misfits.
Oh, 100% cosign.
Yeah.
Like, there's two things I know we 100% agree on is Sam Hain was better than the Misfits and Hall's better than the Descendants.
Yeah. It's like Danzig's great and all, but I don't particularly even like the blues. It's only good because it's Glenn Danzig singing.
I mean, that's the kind of thing about Danzig. It's like he had a hell of a lineup. He had Chuck Biscuits, one of the best punk drummers, if not one of the best like hardcore drummers ever.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you have him playing blues rock. I mean, dude, I know he played in Social Distortion after Glenn blew up the fucking.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm lying though. It's like I like Black Sabbath. I like The Trouble. It's like, yeah, sure, when it's metal, it can be fine.
Yeah, but we also had a discussion. I remember we had some deep musical discussions about the Misfits and talking about Danzig. And doesn't have the first Danzig record have the same guitar tone as the Cult record that Rick Rubin produced?
Yeah, right. It's just The Trouble. It's just the Cult. It's also kind of why it's great.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, fuck, dude. Those early Cult records are amazing.
Oh yeah. I mean, it just But I guess as we're hijacking
it's a shitty guitar tone.
Yeah, it's not good guitar.
It's the.
But the songs are good.
Like 1986 or 88 or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, but
it's just like, man, it's just a notoriously bad time for recording.
Yeah, but
guitars.
But then the Slayer, like Rain and Blood, doesn't sound like that.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess I mean, that has to be intentional. Of course, it doesn't sound like that. You know what I mean? Like, fucking, there's no distortion on those Danzig guitars.
No. She rise. Yeah. That wraps up this episode of the Cinematic Void Podcast. We've learned a lot about each other today. Until next time, see you in the void.